around. Turn that way. Turn that way. Turn that way. Face that way, please. Thank you very much.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm not saying I did do it. But like, you gotta, I know I'm a black guy, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm overqualified for the job.
The Subway employee is accused of stealing money straight from the register over and over. But what really happened behind the counter? And how did it all add up to $10,000? In early 2025, officers approached a Subway employee right at the restaurant where he worked.
Turn around. Turn that way. Turn that way. Turn that way. Face that way, please. Thank you very much. Ladies, it's going to be a moment for your sandwiches. I do apologize. This in no way, shape, or form reflects poorly on Subway. I hope that you guys do eat fresh and you enjoy your meal. Thank you, sir. Come on, please. Any knives or anything on you, bud?
No.
He was standing near the sandwich counter when the officers came in and asked him to step away. The man was calm but confused. Customers who were waiting for their sandwiches were politely asked to be patient. The police made it clear that the situation had nothing to do with the Subway brand or its operations. They were focused only on the individual who worked there. The man was asked several times to turn around, face a certain direction, and cooperate. Officers made sure he didn't have any weapons or sharp objects on him. When they checked his pockets, they found around $25 in cash and his store key. The officer confirmed he would leave the key at the store.
Just myself.
Okay, nothing that sharp, or I don't have to worry about being stuck. I've been stuck before for reasons. Get some cash pulling out of your pocket. Looks like 25 and put it right back here in your pocket, all right? What about these keys?
That's one store key.
Store key? Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I leave that here, all right? What's in here?
Nothing.
Not getting fresh. All right, looks like more cash. You got a lot of zippers, man. Not getting fresh.
Can I be asked why I'm being detained?
I was asked by another detective to pick you up and detain you so that he can have a chat with you. If you would, just give me a few moments, all right?
By this point, the officer already radioed in a transport request. The arrest was done professionally and quietly, without disrupting the store's operations too much. Despite the serious nature of the incident, the officers tried to treat everyone with respect, including the suspect and the customers. But the calm outside didn't match the numbers involved inside, because over time, the worker had been slowly stealing cash, with a total missing amount of around $10,000.
I'll get you a Miranda card real quick so you understand.
Nah, I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Before
hold on.
Before she leave, I just want to give her like my stuff.
Okay. Well, I understand all that.
And I want to call someone.
Go and have a seat. Okay. Have a seat.
Anything belongs to Subway?
He's got keys right there.
Yeah, but my house is over here.
All right, Mr. Lewis. I'm not asking you any questions, but I am going to read this to you.
Officer sat him down and began reading him his Miranda rights. These rights explained that he did not have to answer any questions, had the right to remain silent, and could have a lawyer. The officer clearly told him that anything he said could be used against him in court. Louis seemed confused at first. He asked the officer to repeat some parts to make sure he understood. The officer reassured him that this was just a standard process. He also reminded him that no one would force him to speak or make any promises in return for talking. It was all up to him. During this time, officers were careful to separate the man's store keys from his personal belongings, since he had access to the Subway store. They didn't want him to take anything that belonged to the business.
You already made a police report with us, and what we're going to do is I'm going to swear you in. Okay, so everything you tell me from here is going to be the truth. Okay, so raise your right hand. You swear everything you tell me is going to be the truth?
I do.
All right, so let's get started. Jake, briefly, what made you call us initially?
Well, I just started noticing the sales were lower than they should be.
Well, let's start off. What store are we?
Subway.
Okay, and you are the
Owner, yes.
And what is the address to the Subway?
12041 Southern Boulevard, Suite 2, Loxahatchee.
Okay.
Once the employee was in custody, police began collecting more details about what had happened at the Subway store. One of the most important parts came from the store owner, who gave a sworn statement at the station. His name was Jake, and he confirmed he had already made a police report earlier. He raised his right hand and promised to tell the truth before sharing what led him to contact police in the first place. Jake said he first noticed that the sales numbers were lower than they should be. At first, he thought it might be slow business or small errors, but the pattern kept repeating. He owned the Subway location. 2 Saturdays before the arrest, on the 3rd, Jake went to check the safe as he usually did. To his surprise, it was empty, no money inside. That raised a red flag. From there, Jake began tracking daily numbers and watching the cameras more closely. It didn't take long before he spotted clear signs of theft. Money was being taken quietly over time, in small amounts. It wasn't just one mistake, it was a steady pattern. Eventually, the total amount taken reached about $10,000.
You know why you're under arrest?
No, sir.
All right, I was just going to explain why you're under arrest.
All right.
You already told my partner here that you don't want to talk, but I will at least inform you what's going on, okay?
No, I didn't tell him I didn't want to. He was reading me the Miranda, and I was like, okay. I guess he wanted me to, I guess, converse about it. But the Miranda, I know, there's nothing you could really say. But
You understand?
Yes, sir.
You understood your rights in the Miranda,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
That just explains that your rights that you reported.
Of course.
I don't know, but right before that you said, no, I don't want to talk. Was that in reference to what's going on, or you didn't want to talk to him in general?
No, when he was talking about, I was just waiting on him to read the Miranda. He didn't read me the Miranda then.
Once back at the station, the suspect finally learned why he had been arrested. At first, he said he didn't know the reason, but then the detective began to explain everything in detail. Over the last 2 weeks, there had been 86 voided transactions at the Subway store. That number was far higher than normal. The detective said they had video footage that matched each voided sale. In many of these clips, the suspect could be seen taking cash from customers. Instead of putting the money in the register, he would cancel the sale and pocket the money. Sometimes he told customers the card machine wasn't working, so they paid in cash. Then he walked to the back of the store, away from the cameras. If change was needed, he gave it from somewhere else, not from the register.
Austin said, hey, I have Mr. Smith has 86 voided transactions over a 2-week period, which is far above normal.
Right.
So there's an allotted amount of voided transactions. You bring up applesauce or whatever, you're gonna void it out. You're voiding out a whole transaction, like 3 subs, 2 subs, and then in the video, when we correlate the transaction to the video, you see you take the cash, you tell the people the card's not working, or the card's not working, whatever it may be. They give you cash, you take the cash, you go back to the back of the room, I don't know what's back there, and if they need change, you hand them change from wherever you got the change from, but it's not coming from the till.
All this happened while he was working alone. That made it easier for him to take money without being noticed. The boss started matching the security videos with the store's sales records. Each time cash went missing, it was on a shift that the suspect was working. The detective told the man this is why he was under arrest. He said maybe the suspect needed money for bills or had some other reason, but the theft wasn't just a one-time mistake. It had happened again and again. Nearly every day he worked alone.
It's expensive.
Right.
A lot of shit's expensive.
Right.
And I understand that working a job like that, and then you were also just got out of prison a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get a job that's gonna pay.
But nah,
the
it
bills.
ain't got nothing to do with that.
No?
Nah,
He's just trying to-
because if that's the case, if that's the case, I would have been back in prison for real.
Getting it.
I went to prison for robbery. I went.
Getting the big rips.
No, I'm just saying if that was the case,
Yeah.
that's not really the case. Like
So
know,
then
you
what-
gotta. It's like I don't know. I don't know what the I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm not saying I did do it, but like you gotta I know I'm a black guy, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm overqualified for the job.
When the detective asked the suspect if he had anything to say about the video evidence, the man didn't respond clearly. The man talked around the issue. He mentioned things like rent being expensive and said he had a hard time finding good work after getting out of prison. But he also said this situation had nothing to do with that. He also talked about being overqualified for the job and not being treated fairly. He felt like he wasn't respected at work. He didn't claim that the store owner was a bad person, but he hinted that he didn't feel valued. He also brought up race and said he was aware of how things looked, being a black man in that situation. Still, he didn't clearly admit or deny stealing the money. He just kept going back and forth, talking about life, hard times, and the way things turned out. The detective reminded him there were real consequences involved and said the videos clearly showed what had happened. The man accepted that there would be consequences, but he didn't try to explain the theft in detail. He seemed to be processing everything and maybe trying to avoid saying something that could hurt him more.
Just treating people fairly. Like I'm not finna sit up here and talk about the guy like he's a bad guy.
Or was
I don't
he,
really
was
know
he
him.
just degrading you or demeaning towards you?
Yeah, like you could say, but it's like you treat your people right, man. You got somebody that's working at your store, and they the only one working. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You gotta treat your people fairly.
I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? So
The detective kept asking what the store owner had done wrong or what made things feel unfair. The man didn't give a straight answer. He He just repeated that people need to treat employees right. When asked if the owner had disrespected him or left him alone too often, the man said maybe. He didn't want to say anything bad about the owner directly. He just felt like he wasn't being treated fairly. The officer pressed him more. Was the owner rude? Did he ignore complaints? Did he expect too much? The man said he wasn't sure. He didn't accuse the owner of anything serious. He just said it's important to treat workers properly, especially when they're alone running the whole store.
Are you playing instruments? Or are you playing the?
I'm playing for the band tonight. Opening
band?
up, yeah.
What are you playing? Drums?
Nah, I'm opening up. Okay. Opening up for some artists.
Where?
Where is it? What is the venue? It's in Miami.
Oh, you're going to Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a long drive ahead of you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me get your West Palm address, and then I can get.
I don't have a West Palm address.
Where do you live?
In the end, the suspect said he would take responsibility for his actions. He didn't argue about the video footage or try to shift blame, but he still didn't fully admit to the crime either. And finally, he got 5 years of probation instead of jail time. Now don't hesitate to comment down your thoughts on this situation. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well.